Kiaota was the most beautiful girl in Ganair. Her skin was dark and smooth, her eyes shone like stars, and her smile made everyone happy. All the men wanted to marry her, but she was hard to catch. She loved to laugh and have fun, but she never stayed too long with anyone. Pam was different from the other men. He was a carpenter who made amazing things from wood. He made chairs that felt like hugs, tables that held many stories, and gifts that showed his love. Everyone in the village admired his work. He was not rich or powerful, but he had a good heart. Kiaota liked Pam more than anyone else. She liked to visit him at his workshop and bring him food. They would eat and laugh together under a big old tree. Pam would carve something special for her every day. He loved her more than anything. Marriage in Ganair cost a fortune, and that made most of the young men to marry from their neighboring village. Despite that, Pam determined in his heart to marry Kiaota. One day, Pam decided to ask Kiaota's mama for her hand. He took his family and some gifts to her hut. He hoped she would say yes, but Kiaota's mama said no. She did not like Pam. She wanted Kiaota to marry someone else. She was so angry that she threw water on Pam's face. Not only that, but she told him to go away and never come back. Pam was heartbroken. He felt like his world had ended. He ran away from the hut, leaving his family and his gifts behind. He did not want to see anyone. He just wanted to be alone. Kiaota was heartbroken too. She saw what her mother did to Pam. She wanted to run after him and tell him she loved him. But she was afraid and did not know what to do. She cried and cried. But this is not the end of their story. This is just the start. Kyauta and Pam have a strong love that can survive anything. They will face many problems, but they will also find many solutions. They will make their own traditions and their own happiness. They will show everyone that love is stronger than anything. Kiaota was really worried. She loved Pam, the carpenter who had carved their names on the giant tree in Ganair. But her mother hated him and forbade them from seeing each other. Why? Kiaota had to find out. One evening, she gathered her courage and asked her mother the question,
"Mother, what's wrong with Pam? Why can't I marry him?"
Her mother looked at her with sad eyes and told her a story from the past. A long time ago, when Kiaota was born, a seer came to their house and gave a prophecy about her future. He said that Kiaota would have two men in her life, one from Ganair, who would bring her misery and poverty, and another from another village, who would bring her happiness and prosperity. Kiaota gasped. She realized that Pam was the first man, and her mother was trying to save her from the bad prophecy. But Kiaota didn't care about the prophecy. She only cared about Pam.
"Mother, do you really believe in the seer's words? Don't you think we can make our own destiny?"
Maybe, my daughter, but I'm afraid to take the risk. I don't want you to suffer because of a foolish choice.
Kiaota felt torn. She understood her mother's fear, but she also felt a strong pull towards Pam. She wondered if she could change the prophecy with her love. She decided to follow her heart, no matter what. Kiaota couldn't stay away from Pam. Every night, she sneaked out of her house and brought him some food to his workshop. She loved seeing his smile and hearing his voice. She felt alive in his arms, but not everyone was happy for them. Some of her friends tried to stop her. They said that Pam was a poor carpenter who couldn't give her a good life. They said that she should marry someone richer and more respectable. Kiaota ignored them. She said that Pam was the richest man in the world because he had her love. She said that money and status didn't matter to her, only love. But her mother was watching. She knew what Kiaota was doing. She was angry and worried. She confronted Kiaota one night when she caught her leaving for Pam's workshop.
Kyauta, how can you be so foolish? Don't you remember the prophecy? Don't you know that Pam will ruin your life?
Kiaota stood up to her mother. She said that she didn't care about the prophecy. She said that Pam was her life, and she would do anything for him. Pam knew that he had to do something. He hated seeing Kiaota suffer, but he loved her. People whispered behind their backs and tried to separate them, which he hated. He wanted to give Kiaota a better life than she deserved. The decision was bold to the village that had been his home and his enemy. He decided to go to the city, where he heard there were more opportunities. He decided to learn a new skill that was in high demand. He picked up tech skills. He couldn't leave without telling the Kiaota, for he was too fond of her to leave her in the dark. When he reached her house, he found her at home. He hugged her, kissed her, and told her about his plans. Kiaota was surprised. Pam's words left her in shock. He wanted to leave her, to go to a place she had never seen, and to do something she didn't understand. She was frightened. She pleaded with him to stay with her. Pam tried to calm her down. He explained that he was doing this for them, for their future. He loved her so much and would never forget her. He promised to come back for her as soon as he could. He had saved some money, enough to rent a small place for her, where she could start selling food to the villagers. He wanted her to be busy and happy while he was away. Kiaota still felt uneasy. She didn't want to be apart from Pam, even for a day. She didn't want to live in a rented place without him. She didn't want to sell food when she could be with him. She wanted to go with him to the city, to be by his side. But she saw the determination in his eyes. She saw the love in his heart. She saw the hope in his smile. She realized that he was doing this for them, for their future. She decided to trust him, to support him, to wait for him. She wiped her tears and nodded and said she was proud of him and that she would love him, always. They hugged, kissed, and said goodbye. Weeks and months passed after Pam left for the city. In Ganire, a mysterious stranger named Toma arrived, hailing from a distant village with a reputation for wealth and musical prowess. He was intrigued by the tales he had heard of Kiaota's enchanting beauty and culinary skills, and he decided to visit her restaurant one day. As soon as he entered the cozy and fragrant place, he was greeted by Kiaota's warm smile and friendly voice. She welcomed him and showed him to a table where she served him a plate of her delicious food. Toma took a bite and was amazed by the explosion of flavors in his mouth. He looked at Kiaota and felt a surge of attraction and admiration. He complimented her on her cooking and asked her about herself. Kiaota, who was used to receiving praise from her customers, thanked him politely and told him a little about her life. She mentioned that she had a fiancé who had gone to the city to pursue his dreams and that she was waiting for his return. She said this with a hint of sadness and longing in her eyes, which Toma noticed. He felt a pang of jealousy and curiosity, wondering who this man was and what he had that he didn't. Toma decided to stay longer at the restaurant, hoping to get to know Kiaota better and win her over. He ordered more food and drinks and engaged her in a lively conversation. He told her about his village, his music, and his travels. Not only that, but he made her laugh with his jokes and stories, and he charmed her with his compliments and gestures. He also paid generously for his meal and left a large tip for Kiaota. Kiaota was impressed by Toma's generosity and charisma, but she also felt uneasy by his attention. She sensed that he had more than a friendly interest in her, and she didn't want to encourage him. She thanked him for his visit and wished him a good day, hoping that he would leave her alone. Toma, however, was not deterred. He had made up his mind to seek Kiaota's hand in marriage, and he was determined to make her his. He returned to the restaurant the next day, and the day after that, and every day after that. He brought her gifts of flowers, jewelry, and clothes, and he offered her financial support for her business, which she rejected. Kiaota was overwhelmed by Toma's persistence and generosity, but she also felt conflicted and guilty. She appreciated his gifts and support, but she also felt that she was betraying Pam and their love. She tried to refuse his offers and invitations, but he wouldn't take no for an answer. He insisted that he was her friend and that he wanted to make her happy. Kiaota's friends, who witnessed Toma's offer of friendship, encouraged her to consider him. They told her that he was a better match for her than Pam, who had left her for the city and hadn't contacted her for almost a year. They said that Toma was rich, famous, and handsome, and that he could give her the life she deserved. They also reminded her of the prophecy, which said that she would marry a wealthy man who would bring happiness and prosperity to her and her village. Kiaota's mother, who also saw Toma's friendship, agreed with her friends. She was influenced by the hope of a prosperous future, and she saw Toma as the perfect match for her daughter. She believed that Toma could fulfill the prophecy and bring happiness and prosperity to Kiaota and her family. She also thought that Pam had forgotten about Kiaota and had moved on with his life in the city. She urged Kiaota to accept Toma's proposal and forget about Pam.
But will she forget about Pam?